Hello, and welcome to this guided facilitation session for empathy mapping. I want to give you just a very brief overview of empathy mapping in case you haven't had a chance to do that yet. So an empathy map is actually a tool that we often use in human-centered design. It's a pretty classic tool, actually, and it helps us to get out of our own heads and to capture information about either another individual or maybe a role or group of people about thinking specifically about what they're saying, doing, thinking, and feeling. Those are the key categories on any empathy map. And so for today, what we're going to do is we're going to take you through an actual empathy map, and you'll use this video to help guide you through that. And ideally, what we will do is we'll get out of our own thoughts, our own heads, our own assumptions, and we'll begin to think about specifically each one of those 4 quadrants for someone else. Also, ideally, by this point, you would have reviewed some of your research. If you've had any research that you've collected, any stories, what have you that you might have done in advance. If you have those things and you haven't had a chance to review them, I'd suggest you pause this video and take a look at some of that research. If you're ready to go, then, well, let's go. Okay, first step, take out your empathy map. Now, for today, be clear about who it is that you're actually designing this empathy map for. Who are you trying to capture information about? That either person's name or that role should be written in your empathy map. There's a few ways to work on an empathy map. You can either do it in person and you can write on something like this. We have a template for you. You can draw it on a big whiteboard and you can use Post-it notes if you'd like, or you can pull up the shared template, everyone can pull it up on their screen. Let's say if it's in SharePoint or Google Docs, and everyone can be working on the same templates or maybe duplicates of that template if you're working with different teams and different groups. So many different ways to work with this, but you want to have your template, however you have it, in front of you now. All right, so to begin, we're going to take 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, what I want you to do is begin focusing in on a section. If you're with a group of people, you might break up who's working on what section. If you're an individual or maybe with a smaller team, this is the way I would recommend you do it. Begin with saying and doing, because those are the most, I would say, kind of directly understandable and obvious sections. So begin with saying and doing, if you're able to break those things up, and then move on to thinking and feeling. If you're with a larger group, then just divide out the quadrants between all of you. So what you'll be doing is you'll take your quadrant and you will focus on unpacking whatever you can think about this individual or this role in that particular quadrant. So what is it that they're saying? What do you hear them saying? What are quotes that might come out of their mouth? Maybe you've captured those from research. Maybe you just know it because it's very familiar, but write those things there. Doing, what do you often see them doing? What environment are they in? What activities are they engaged in? If you were to be watching them, what kinds of things would you see them doing? What kinds of people are around them? What kinds of tools are they using? And then you have thinking. So what might keep them up at night? What occupies their headspace, if you will? And then feeling. What is it, the emotions that they're coming across? What are they feeling? Maybe it's different at different points in time. Collect that kind of information in the feeling category. So we're going to pause this video now, and I'm going to give you 10 minutes to go ahead and write as much as you can in those categories. Rotate categories if you need to, but follow your facilitator's recommendation if someone's helping to guide you outside of this. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and take 10 minutes. Okay. Welcome back. Hopefully you've gathered some great information about what your individual or role is saying, doing, thinking, and feeling. So now what I want you to do is I want you to discuss that information that you're seeing. This is beginning to kind of synthesize it. So take 10 minutes and as a group, begin to go through and perhaps go quadrant by quadrant, saying, doing, thinking, feeling. And as you're doing that, you might see some patterns across them. You might see some discrepancies across them, and that's fine. But again, this is a time to dig into all of the great information that you've collected on this empathy map. So go ahead and pause this video and take 10 minutes to discuss and reflect on what you're seeing that you have gathered in the empathy map. All right, now we're on to the next step. So now we're going to begin to reflect a little bit more. What is it that you're seeing? And this may have already begun to occur in the last 10 minutes of your time together. But what is it that you're sort of seeing? Sometimes we talk about themes and tensions, and a theme or a pattern is something that you see across things. Oh, they seem to always be doing something like this or engaged in something like this. Attention is actually where you see some discrepancies. So maybe they're saying one thing, but they're doing something different. We often see this happen on, say, New Year's resolutions. We might say we're going to do one thing, but what we do might be something different. Those are tensions. So look for themes or patterns and tensions in your empathy map. We're going to take an additional 5 minutes to do that. So go ahead and pause your video now. All right. And so finally, we're going to talk about what we want to do as next steps. So in these next steps, there's lots of different options of what you could do next. You might want to do another empathy map on another group of individuals or another role, or you might want to begin to change this empathy map and look at it and begin to create problem statements from it. Or you might want to take the empathy map how it is and begin to get feedback. Maybe show it to the person or role that you did this on and get their feedback. Does this seem to resonate with them? Or perhaps other teams that you're collaborating with, it might be a good time to share it with them. If you feel like you're ready for brainstorming directly from here, you can do that as well. You can actually take the empathy map that you have and begin to brainstorm ideas around it. So those are some options of next steps. And I wish you really good luck and great job on creating an empathy map. Thanks.